Okay, let's see how this goes. Legends Pinball versus Arcade1Up. Who tied who hands? I own Legends Pinball, and I also own the Star Wars, and I own the Marvel Digital Pinball. I do not own the Mars one. So with that being said, many people have compared the two, and you know most of the differences, so I don't really want to get into the generic parts of it, but what I want to discuss is price increases, 720 versus 1080, who tied Arcade1Up's hands, and that type of stuff. So let's start off with who tied Arcade1Up hands, okay? We did. Our community did. Our YouTube arcade vloggers who forced 1UP into a corner to release a pinball in the 400 to 500 range no matter what. Now this is true, and you guys know it's true. Arcade1Up did not do themselves any favors by promising that range at the Consumer Electronics Show in 2020, January of last year, but they bit off more than they could chew. And when they realized that it was very difficult to meet that price range, they had to make cuts in order to meet it. Now, this is not going to be a justification of Arcade1Up. I have all my own criticisms of Arcade1Up. This is more of a realistic picture of what's really happening and why maybe Arcade1Up has been so silent right now. First of all, guys, let me tell you this. Everyone knows that prices are increasing. But the thing is this. I said this in a very early video when I first got the pinball. I don't think Arcade1Up is happy that they cannot make much money off of digital pinball as compared to the cabs. They're not making, I really don't believe they're making much money. And if you think you can make much money, then why don't you make some digital pinball and sell it? You can't do it, okay? I mean, half the price is going into the monitor by itself almost these days. So anyway, let's get into this. So we as a community held Arcade1Up to the fire for overpromising the price. Now, they bit off more than they could chew. Yes, they did. They also partnered with Zen, a company that's known for perfection, which really put them in a bind because they had to meet Zen's expectations while also meeting their bottom dollar. Not a very easy task at all. Unlike at Games, who basically said that they would have a pinball at under $600 at $599. So they came at $599, didn't they? But what they didn't say was that they were going to add $100 for shipping. So the pinball was never $599. The pinball was always $699. Well, some people say, oh, well, if you got it from Sam's Club, then you could have got it for free. Yeah, welcome to the 100 people who got it from Sam's Club. You know, I mean, that was available for a short term at Sam's Club. Only not that many people got it. I mean, I know that Kongs R Us did get his from Sam's Club. But the point is that it's not been available in any retail stores since its release, besides that one small window at Sam's Club. And when I jumped there, it was not available by the next day. So anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is, yes, they did a little release at Sam's Club, but for all practical purposes, they really sold these things directly, which means they were charging an extra $100, and I don't care how you cut it, guys, that is a hidden cost. The machine isn't $599, it's $699. Now, if you happen to get one of those, I call it the Black Friday. If you were one of the ones, it wasn't really on Black Friday, but you went to you were lucky enough to get the Sam's Club one. To me, that was like a Black Friday thing, so they could technically say that they did it. And that was it. I didn't hear of Sam's Club getting any other ones in stock. Did you? Has Walmart? I don't even know if Walmart will be selling them or not. But the point that I'm trying to make is that Legends Pinball price, let's not pretend here, was $699 when it came out, which is basically $700. So you had Legends that said they was going to come out at $600, but it's really $700. And then you had Arcade1Up, who tried to meet a 400, 500 price range, and they really came close to meeting it because the initial ones, the first one, actually both of the ones I got was 550. Now, yes, because I pre-ordered both of mine early, so both of mine I got for $549, but then the price up to $599. Now the price is going to probably go up again, and that's going to be very tough for Arcade1Up's community to swallow because they don't offer the upgrades that Legends offers. So let's get back into this. Okay. Arcade1Up has even admitted on a couple of arcade vlogger shows, whether it was Retro Ralph or whatever, they have admitted that digital pinball took a lot of their resources. Okay, this is resources that after they made all this money because of Corvette, which they did because a lot of people started buying machines because we were stuck at home. You know, many of us, like, we brought machines and then we filled up our arcade and we have no more room left. Okay, so they admitted it took up a lot of their resources, a lot of their time, and a lot of their talent, which could have went to other things, went into pinball. It was a much bigger commitment than they expected, and there was a lot of trial and error. Okay, you can fault Arcade1Up for a lot of things. My opinion is I know some of you aren't going to like to hear this. You cannot fault them for their digital pinball because you know that you were holding them to the fire to meet that 400, 500 price range. And there is no way they could have met that price without making some cuts. Now, they had to decide the cuts they make, could people still live with it? Now, there were people who came from digital pinball that had digital pinball 4K, absolutely cannot live with that. People who never had digital pinball like me and many others said, you know what, it's actually not bad at all. It's actually fun. And to be quite honest, without that price range, we might not have had digital pinball at all. So for us, it was a compromise that we didn't like, but it was a compromise we could swallow. I don't regret getting my two pinballs. I still play them. Even with my Legends, I still play my two, my Marvel and my Star Wars. So I absolutely don't regret that decision at all. And I think that it did open the door in people's arcade to add some variety. With that being said, who tied Arcade1Up's hands? They obviously tied their own hands by promising, over-promising on price, on features, and such without fully vetting the cost. They also put themselves in a box by trying to compete with TOYSHARK. Now, this was a tough one. They wanted to meet TOYSHARK's price within $100 because TOYSHARK was really about to take off if they could just get that update done to that 1.2. People would have been okay with TOYSHARK. Why they couldn't get their act together, I don't know. They had a whole year to do it. And I really, really would like TOYSHARK to still get their act together because it would be nice to have another competitor in this. But needless to say, TOYSHARK always appealed to a kid audience. They had no qualms to say that they were there that theirs was made for kids, not for adults. So Arcade1Up said, hey, why don't we do the same thing at $100 and then we make our own? Okay? Well, price, features, and name brand, they thought is all they needed. If they can meet the price, give the features that they promised, and come out with big name brands like Marvel and Star Wars versus Legends Pinball, who has no name brand at all. You know, their machines, the graphics are all over the place. I need to get a topper, but there's not one single one of those games that I would ever dedicate my full topper on top of my Legends Pinball to any of those games. They're not big names. So, well, you know what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to just use a Marvel character and put that on top of it and say whatever. But the thing is that Legends filled in a gap. Legends did not tie their hands as much. They were a smaller company and they were more hungry. They were in need of a monster hit because that big giant, I call it the beastly at Games Legends Pro 1.0, That thing is huge. It's a monster in my arcade. It's really too big. So there were just a lot of people who said, hey, I like you, Legends, but there's no way I'm going to get that big, giant, gargantuan Godzilla thing. It's too huge. So they came out, then now they're coming out with the mini, the Tetris one to meet that, that group of people. That's fine. So they were in need of a monster hit. I don't know how Legends could come out with a pinball and get most things right. Some things they could have done better, but get more things right than Arcade1Up did. Okay? It's unacceptable, Arcade1Up, because you had Zen in your corner. You have the money. You're the big company. You cannot let a peanut company come and steal your thunder. Guess what? Now Legends has cornered the high-end market of digital pinball, at least for the 3/4 scale, even though there's technically 90% scale, but the 3/4 scale home arcade market. Now, people who are going to get high-end digital pinball or make it themselves, they're going to do that anyway. So you're not even tailoring it to them because they're never going to be happy unless you'd have to come out with a $2,000 version to make them happy. They want it to look the way that they do using their computers. It's just the way it is. So, Legends, you did a good job. You came out with a more, let's just say, a product that was more finessed, a little bit more refined, a little bit more robust, a little bit more upper class. And Arcade1Up, you made a big mistake by trying to compete with TOYSHARK, which definitely puts you at the low end. Why you wanted to do that was beyond me. So, Legends, you were very hungry. They basically came out. They were willing to eat costs in the beginning because that's what they did, you know. I said this in an earlier video. I said that Legends is eating the cost and selling it at cost just to say that they met their price. And then they're going to bump that price up. And didn't they do just that? But you know what? I do feel that some of the vloggers are giving Legends too much of a free pass, which I don't actually like seeing. You know, I think they get too free of a pass while Arcade1Up gets like strongly crucified. Arcade1Up, you didn't do yourself any favors, unfortunately. And not communicating with your audience isn't helping your cause any. If you don't want John to be your spokesperson for this short period of time, well, then send someone who can do it, who can be a spokesperson, but don't just go silent. I mean, what's up with that? I mean, I don't get that at all. I mean, you have a whole audience on YouTube that's very committed to you, and you can't just be silent and then you have people criticizing you, but then there's no response from you. Now, I'm not going to be the spokesperson to respond to that criticism because I was one of the ones that criticized you too. But I also gave you praise for some things. Could you have come out with a better digital pinball and meet the prices that were expected? No. And that's the truth, guys. There is no way Arcade1Up could have kept that price range that they promised, the $400 to $500 range, and come out with a better pinball. It wasn't possible. It's not possible. Okay? Before, what was the pinballs starting at? A couple of $1,000s? Now they're trying to bring it down. Some of you would say, well, TOYSHARK did it. No, TOYSHARK didn't do it. TOYSHARK still hasn't finished their updates from their original customers from over a year ago. They still haven't even gotten a 1.3 update, so TOYSHARK did not do it. Okay? Can TOYSHARK do it? I think they could. They just don't have the resources. You know, they need some type of investment in them, and then maybe they could do it. But, so, Legends, I mean, at games, I give you credit. You took a void and you jumped in it. Arcade1Up, you wanted to go low end. So that's where you are. Legends wanted to go higher end, and that's where they are. Now, Legends gets to raise their prices $150, which I've watched a lot of vloggers, okay? And I cannot believe how many vloggers, if not most, have justified that by saying, oh, well, they're giving us Zakaria, so it's the price, at least they're giving us Zakaria. You know what? Now, you don't get a free pass for raising the price You haven't even finished delivering a product to your original people yet. You know, I mean, I guess maybe you just got done because you just released this new wave that you call it, whatever wave it is, wave 150. But the point is, wave 5 really. But the point is that you knew that was not a price that you could meet also. The only difference is Arcade1Up was more honest about it. They said, well, we're going to have to cut some features to meet the price. You said, oh, well, we have to give what we said we're going to give. So why don't we just eat the cost and then we'll raise the price. Now, you can justify it now by saying, oh, well, components have went up in price. Components were going up in price all year long. That's nothing new, okay? All I'm saying is that you don't get the free pass by throwing Zaccaria in there for a $150 increase. And you want to know why at games? Because you still are charging $100 for shipping. So your product that all the vloggers were like giving you a free pass for at $750, I have not heard one of them point out that the real price is $850, closer to $900, plain and simply because that's the real price. If you're charging for shipping without giving free shipping, then the real price is $850, close to $900. So when you guys are like saying, oh, Legends is so great, they're giving us Zaccaria now, well, it's still almost $900. Well, that's a lot of money, okay? Close to $900, that's a lot of money to eat. That's almost 2 Arcade1Up pinballs until they raise prices, which they probably will. We all know they have to. Components have went up. So getting back to this is a much longer video than I expected. So this was, so the true cost of the digital pinball, guys, is higher than both companies could meet with the expectations that were put on them. Now, Arcade1Up, unfortunately, tied their hands the most with the cost. Legends, what they did is they tried to backdoor it by giving a $100 shipping fee. But when I pre-ordered that, I didn't remember reading anything that said there was going to be a $100 shipping fee. All I remember is now you can order it, get an email. You can order it now and pay the $100 shipping fee and the full cost, or we will go to the next person. What? Hold the gun to my head. Well, of course, now I got to pay the extra $100 because I didn't have any time to think about it. I mean, I'm not upset that I did it, but I kind of felt like that was a little shaky, in my opinion. There's something that vloggers haven't talked about. I think that was a little shaky. I think that was a little bait and switch. Your price was $100 more just because you dropped a few at Sam's Club. No, you just dropped a few at Sam's Club, but that's it. Now you're going to charge $750, $100 shipping, $850, and you get the Zaccaria package. I'm not saying it's a bad deal, guys. I'm not really trying to say that. I'm just trying to say, let's be honest with the prices here, okay? Because it's $100 more, and they know it. And obviously, they still plan on selling it directly, you know? I don't know if they're going to ever offer it, when they're going to offer it to the to regular companies like Walmart or GameStop or whatever. But let's move on, okay? Arcade1Up, you really couldn't meet the $500 price point, so you had to cut features. However, there were some things that you could have did better. What could 1UP have done differently? Well, first of all, you could have vetted with your regular people. You could have vetted with the vloggers. You could have vetted with just average people. Did you vet your product before you released it to understand how that some people find it very unacceptable, some of the cuts you made? That's what I'm asking. You know, I mean, I know you had to pay a big licensing fee. And maybe if you could have did it again, maybe you would have wished that you had just released other digital pinballs without the big licensing fee and then kept the features in. I don't know. I do know those licensing fees are very expensive. So you should have vetted, because then you would have been told, no, you can't do it that way. You should have been more honest in your process. You went silent for 6-7 months without any updates. At Consumer Electronics Show, you dropped this whole, we got digital pinball, and made it seem like it was ready and coming right out in a few months. And then Over a year later, we finally get the product. You had nothing ready. You were using a computer. You know, you had no product. It was on paper. It was a paper thin. It was just paper. That was the product you had. You had no product, okay? And TOYSHARK could have gotten established much better and made more money to reinvest in their company to do the updates that they needed to do faster. But you had no product and you wanted to jump on TOYSHARK's bandwagon, and you did. Well, Legends said, well, we do too. And they did. They just happen to have done it better than you. Okay? Now, Legends has a high-end market, and you got the low-end market. Did you really want the low-end market, though? Seriously? So, when you raise prices, I'd like to see you raise prices 150 the way Legends did, and see how quickly you'll be crucified by your audience. Oh, they are going to crucify you to the freaking cross. John, if I was you, I would not be the spokesperson to talk about that price increase, because you're going to get crucified. And why? Because you put yourself in the lowest end market. What could you have done differently? You should have came out with two products. The low-end product and then the high-end that you had suggested before. Why didn't you just come out with two products and give people that choice, that option? You still can redeem yourself, but if you come out with a product that's only equal to at games, that's not good enough anymore. You're going to have to one-up at games this time, okay? You really will, because I don't see how you can gain that market back, at least the high-end part. You're not going to get that, and that's a very sweet market. You know, that's where the money's going to be. Why do you think Apple is the freaking richest company on this planet? Because they have a lock on the highest end phone market. That's why. People will pay premium for the Apple. Why didn't you come up with a pinball like that, and one low end? That's what you should have done. Okay? Now, in order to one-up our Legends, you're going to have to come out with not a 32-inch. My advice is to do a slightly more widescreen and do the 34-inch, okay? You might as well just give up on 1080p. You're going to go to 4K, because that alone, that puts you at a higher end. And then all of those accelerometers and all that type of stuff, you're going to haptic feedback. You're going to have to use better products for a higher end product, okay? Now, I think that you could get that. You could come up with the price anywhere from $799 to $999, and I really think that if it's high end enough that people would pay it. 34-inch, 4K, oh yeah, $999, you could do it. But don't try to cheap out, though, because sometimes you do like to cut corners and cheap out on stuff. People catch that stuff. Okay, moving on. Oh my goodness, this is so long. It's the longest video I've ever done. Okay, getting back to Legends Arcade. You raise prices $150, and with the shipping, basically, it's $250 more than what. It's $250 more, in my opinion. You ran through Zaccaria as, to me, a weak justification. Now, I just purchased the Zaccaria because you have it on sale for $139. Okay, so I was like, yeah, okay, I'll get it now. But I was in no rush. I had 22 games. I hardly discovered those 22 games already, you know. But, P-Dubs and everyone's like, oh, Zaccaria is so good, so sweet. It better be sweet. I know that much because I just spent $139 for it. But I made the choice to do it when I was ready. Now you're ramming it and you're saying, oh, now you got to pay $150. Oh, but we're giving you Zaccaria. Well, isn't that nice that you're giving Zaccaria? Anyway, you are giving something. So that's what people are saying. But I'm still calling you on a price raise this quickly when you just met the pre-orders. I mean, you didn't take long to raise those prices, though, did you? Jeez almighty. Okay, so Legends got the high end locked up. They raised the prices $150. One-Up will get tons of flack from the very same arcade YouTube vloggers who greenlighted at games 150 price increase, just like that, without even a peep, without even a small protest. Seriously? Man, Legends, I don't know how you did that, but somehow you get no criticism, and Arcade1Up gets all the criticism. And I'm one of the ones that was most critical, unfortunately. So let me address the number one issue with digital pinball, and that is the 720p versus the 1080p. But you know what? Should I go to video number 2 or just keep, you know what? I'm just going to keep it going, whatever. 720p versus 1080p. 720p, guys, is not the Evo that everyone's making out to be. Okay, I want to explain this a little bit, but you know what? I'm going to put this in the next video because there's no way this video is getting too long. I'm going to stop this video and then I'll add the next video.